are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the College Loop Podcast for the 266 of the College Loop Podcast. I'm Dylan, your boy Tank on Twitter. Talk to you about the latest Auburn football news because it is now week 8 of the college football season. Auburn is fresh off of a bye week as they get ready to travel to Columbia, Missouri, take on one of the other Tiger teams of the SEC in Missouri, who currently 5-1, number 19 team in the country. Auburn 2-4, 0-3 in the SEC. Missouri, of course, that loss coming at the hands of a very angry-looking Texas A&M, beating Missouri 41-10. And initial thoughts about this game, I talked about some things Auburn needs to do to win against Missouri, and this is a very winnable game. Missouri is only a 4.5-point favorite in this, and if Auburn wants to make it to a bowl game, this is one of 4 games they have to win to end up the season to get those extra practices, get that bowl game, which it won't be a great one. It'll be a 6-6 record at the bare minimum if they were to get these next 4 wins. But kind of looking ahead, Auburn has to play Kentucky next week, then has to play Vanderbilt. You got a bye week, and then you play ULM. 4-game stretch all starts right here. This game is winnable. I don't think there's a game on the schedule right now for Auburn that's not a winnable ball game. But if Auburn comes out looking like they've looked all season against Missouri and show no signs of life or try to win the game, because Auburn has done everything possible to try to lose ball games this season. So, things Auburn needs to do to win against Missouri. Now, I made some graphics just to look at the numbers. So, comparing Missouri and Auburn's offense and comparing Auburn's offense to Missouri's defense, Auburn has had a very good pass offense this year. 279 yards per game, 27th in the country, and they're averaging 2.7 passing touchdowns per game, which is good for 13th in the country. Flipping over to Missouri's defense, very underrated secondary, 154.5 yards per game allowed, which is 7th in the country, and then they're not even giving up a touchdown a game through the air, which is 13th as well. And now kind of going to the rush offense, Auburn has not been running the ball nearly enough this season, as they are averaging 165.5 yards a game, which is 63rd in the country, and averaging 1.2 touchdowns per game on the ground, which is 97th in the NCAA. Now, Missouri also has had a very good rushing defense as well, 38th in the country, giving up 116 yards a game and only giving up 1 rushing touchdown a game. Now, looking at these numbers and then looking at what Auburn needs to do and bring it back, the rushing offense of Auburn has to be in full view. For Auburn to win these next 4 games, for Auburn to win this ball game, I'm going to say Jarquez needs at least 17-plus carries. The best Auburn offense that we've seen has had the 2 games I'm talking about. Jarquez had 20 carries against New Mexico, and then he had 17 against Oklahoma. For Auburn to win this ball game, you have to rely heavily on Jarquez Hunter. Now, there's not been a lot of great running backs that Missouri's had to play against thus far. You had Le'Veon Moss, who had 138 yards against Missouri's defense for A&M, and 3 touchdowns for them as well. The first time they played against a good SEC running back, they gave up a lot of yards. Auburn can easily do that with Jarquez Hunter. Auburn can do that with Damari Alston. When it comes down to it, Peyton Thorne is the starting quarterback for the Auburn Tigers, and I don't believe that's going to change unless something else happens or they're wanting to take it in a different direction and get ready for the future of the team, whether that be with Hank Brown or Walker White, whichever one you're wanting to go with right there. But I don't think that's going to happen in this game. For Auburn to win this game, Jarquez Hunter needs to be your offense. He is the focal point. He is the center of it. Every single playbook, the first play of this scheme against Missouri, that first page should all be run plays. I think it's as simple as that. I think we're past the time for Auburn to rely on these RPOs, because we've seen it. The RPO has not been working out well. Of course, there have been plays that have worked. And of course, passing wise, I mean, Auburn's looked pretty good. We just talked about the stats, 270, 280 yards a game, averaging about 2 touchdowns a game through the air. KLS is having a career year for himself, as well as just an Auburn receiver in general. But that's not Auburn's strength. That's what they've been good at this year, but I wouldn't consider it the strength of the team. Auburn is built to be a run-first offense. That's why there's a slew of them. That's why Auburn has a stable of running backs, because they know they need to run the football. The issue with this team is they just haven't been running it. Auburn needs to run the football. Now, flipping it over to the other side of the ball, comparing Auburn and Missouri's defenses and offense, Auburn's defense is currently middle of the pack in some instances. 213 yards per game allowed through the air, giving up about one passing touchdown a game, which I thought was pretty low. Rushing defense, 124.3 yards per game given up on the ground, which is 50th in the country, and 1.3 rushing touchdowns a game, which is 54th. Now, I will say, Missouri hasn't been the greatest team this year. Not a team that I was expecting to see them as. They're 52nd when it comes to passing yards per game, 246. Passing touchdowns, 102nd, 1.2 passing touchdowns per game. Brady Cook only has 7 touchdowns through the air. Not something I just was not expecting by week 8 was for Missouri's offense to not be clicking on all cylinders, for Brady Cook to not be 10s to like the 16s to up to 20 passing touchdowns. I thought Missouri was going to show out and be one of the top teams in the SEC. And the rushing wise, 41st in the nation, 187 yards per game, and 2.5 touchdowns on the ground per game as well, which is 21st in the country. Now, Auburn's defense is going to have to play like they've been playing all year. But you cannot allow Missouri to find a stride. You cannot allow Luther Burden or Theo Weiss to make big plays. Now, they've been limited in their opportunities to get into the end zone, but Luther Burden, arguably still, I would say, best wide receiver in the country. I would say he's a better receiver than Travis Hunter, Jeremiah Smith, Ryan Williams, all that. Luther Burden is going to be a top 5 draft pick in this year's NFL draft. Carolina Panthers, please get Luther Burden. It would just be the greatest thing ever. But Auburn had an issue earlier in the year, and it was every single quarterback. It was like Auburn was a Super Bowl. Every single quarterback had a breakout game or had their career game or had the game of the year against this Auburn defense. Now, the secondaries look good thus far. You know, the young guys have gotten in and looked the part. Jalen Crawford being one of those guys, Caleb Harris being another one of those guys. Linebacker-wise, you got the same guys as always. Austin Keys, Eugene Asante, always balling out. You got Dorian Mousey coming in, and DeMarcus Riddick as a freshman coming in and looking the part. Defensive line, like blocked into the true freshman. The defense has looked better than expected. But there are obvious weaknesses that, if given the opportunity, Missouri could get right back on track to where they were supposed to be going into the remainder of this season, going into the season. I mean, I never even would have in a million years thought that Texas A&M was not only going to beat Missouri, but beat them so heavily that for some reason my confidence of this game came up a little bit. I mean, I can't say it was too high anyways, but it was something. But Auburn's defense, rushing wise, has been pretty good. I mean, Auburn, I can't off the top of my head think of any breakout running back performances. I think Trevor Etienne had a good game against Auburn's defense, but he also, that was a very balanced Georgia offense. And we're going to see a lot of what Georgia can do this week when they play against Texas, which I'll talk about more of that in a second when I do the pick'ems of the week. But kind of looking at this game and kind of getting ready to make my prediction, this game's at 11 a.m., which I don't think Missouri is all that like massive of a home field advantage thing in the SEC. I think that 11 a.m. kind of like usually favors the away team in some instances, and Auburn hasn't lost to Missouri since 1973, but I haven't seen this Auburn team find a way to pull out the win. I have not seen this Auburn football team make the right plays for all 4 quarters of the ball game. I have not seen 60 minutes of good football from this team since I want to say Alabama A&M, maybe. I think New Mexico, maybe. I think they started off a little sluggish for that game, but this game is tough. I honestly think this game can go both ways. I don't think the winner of this team will be a winner by a large margin, and I think that 4.5 point spread's pretty good for either side. Now, both teams have found ways to put up 30 points a game. Auburn's currently averaging 30 on the dot. Missouri's averaging 34, which would match the spread. I think Missouri wins this game. Now, I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I want Auburn to go to a bowl game. I want to talk about these true freshmen coming in for the class 2025, getting in early and making some plays and bowl practice. I want to talk about that. But right now, until I can be shown by this Auburn offense, by this Auburn defense, by this Auburn team, the Auburn coaching staff, everybody involved with the Auburn football program, until I'm shown that they're able to play 60 minutes of football, I can't pick them to beat a team in the SEC this year. I think Missouri is going to win. I think it's going to be very close. I don't think either team is going to score that many points, but I will say Missouri gets the win 20-14. Auburn finds their way back in the can't score column, can't score over 17 points. But that's just where I'm thinking right now. And of course, my confidence level could change. I mean, I think Missouri had some guys get banged up against UMass, and maybe it could fall into their favor. But after what's talking against Georgia, and just kind of the issue I always have, and I don't want to bash Peyton Thorne, but that 4th and 1 play is going to weigh heavy on my confidence in the quarterback room for the remainder of the season. Because if you have a quarterback that's not going to run the plays that you call, why are you putting him back out there for the next drive? That's my issue with that. But as it stands, I don't think the Auburn Tigers will get the win on Saturday. I think Missouri will take down the 3-game losing streak, get their first win versus Auburn since 1973, and Auburn falls down and gets in the wounded animal mode where they have to beat Kentucky and then ULM and Vanderbilt, and then find a way to beat A&M or Alabama to get a bowl game. But hopefully the bye week gave them some opportunities to get right, to get better. But right now, I just can't pick Auburn to beat Missouri. But leave your predictions in the comment section below. Leave it in the chat. Leave it everywhere and tweet at us what you think. Who do you think is going to win, Auburn or Missouri? What's your score prediction? Let us know. But with that, we're going to move on to the pick'ems. But before we get to the pick'ems, we're going to put a little ad for the merch. So that's how this break. We'll do my top 10 pick'ems of week 8. So stay tuned and we'll be right back. Are you tired of having to rummage through just clothes after clothes after clothes looking for something to wear? Are you tired of your friends making fun of you for your terrible fashion sense? Well, do we have the shirt for you? Go to thewarreport.com, get your laptop out and do it right now. Go to the shop and get your very own Feelin' Loopy t-shirt as well as your college loop hat, and you can get both of them for only $25 each. Plus shipping and handling, of course. But with that, now back to your regular scheduled program. And of course, that is available on thewarreport.com. I clicked the wrong thing. Not a bad thing to talk about. I clicked the overlay instead of the background. There we go. Auburn does have 8 of the top 10 recruits in the state of Alabama. That you get a free little, you get hyped up a little bit. Of course, the merch. Warport.com shop. First page is going to be the College Loop hat, most comfortable hat you're going to wear in your entire life, as well as a Fan Loopy t-shirt with a comfortable shirt you're going to wear in your entire life. Halloween's around the corner. What better costume to dress up as for your Halloween party than a looper? I've heard that if you dress up as a looper, they give out the king-size candy bars when you go trick-or-treating. So keep that in mind as you look for your Halloween costume for this year. I have mine picked out. I might wear it on the Thursday edition of that show because it's funny. At least to me, it's funny. But Pick'ems. I'm currently 49-21. I had a decent week this past week. I went 8-2 on this Pick'em, on my Pick'ems for the show, and 9-1 on my ESPN Pick'ems with my family. This is, of course, coming after a very bad week of Pick'ems. I went 2-8 on ESPN's Pick'em last week. Not this last week, the 2 weeks ago. It was a very rough week and knocked me down like 4 spots. So we're trying to get back up, and hopefully we can do that today as we talk about the first game on the docket. Number 6, Miami travels to Louisville, Kentucky to take on the Louisville Cardinals. This game had a lot of implications at the beginning of the season. I think it still holds that in and of itself. Miami is currently 6-0, 2-0 in the conference. Currently number 6. Again, it honestly makes me mad that every year that I picked Miami to win the ACC, they fall off at the end. And then out of nowhere, whenever I decide not to pick them, and I pick like NC State and Virginia Tech, they fall off, and Miami decides to be good. I have represented the U so much over the years. I think I went on 3 years of picking them. I put a lot of faith in Mario Cristobal, however long he's been there. I think it's been 3 years. What I got to do for you to respect me whenever I pick y'all to win the ACC? It's annoying. But Miami is going to win this ball game. I think they're a better team than Louisville is. Of course, Louisville's already got 2 losses, 1 loss to SMU, another one to Notre Dame. And I just think Miami is a completely better team. And, sometimes they have the refs on their side. Back-to-back weeks, I believe, back-to-back games where they've had a controversial call to end the game that went in their favor and, of course, gives them the win. Cam Ward currently leading all quarterbacks in passing touchdowns this season. So, I'm going to rock with Miami in that game. Up next, the Nebraska Cornhuskers and my least favorite NFL coach of all time, Matt Rule, will go to Bloomington to play the Indiana Hoosiers, who are number 16 in the country, having an absolutely outstanding season. Is the Hoosiers, who are, I don't think they've really had a close win this season, unless there's one that I'm missing out of the loop here of the last 5 games. They've not won a single game that was not by double digits, some by almost more. The closest game they've had was 42-28, and that was against Maryland. I don't think Nebraska is quite there yet. I think Indiana is a team that could rival a lot of the rest of the Big Ten. You're looking at Oregon, and Penn State and Ohio State. So I think I'm going to go with Indiana in this game. I like the Hoosiers. It'd be awesome to see, the team that's not Ohio State take on the Big Ten, but you're also going to see that with Oregon or possibly Penn State. But I'm going to hold off on the Penn State talk for a second. So, I'm taking Indiana at home versus Nebraska. Up next, first SEC game of the Pick'ems. The Oklahoma Sooners, fresh off of an embarrassing loss to the Texas Longhorns, will host the South Carolina Gamecocks, who are fresh off of almost taking down Alabama, which I hate y'all for not for giving up on not giving up, but giving the game away. Oklahoma is currently 65% favorite to win this game. They're 1.5 point favorite on the spread, and I'm gonna take this is a tough one for me. I'm gonna take Oklahoma. Because of one reason and one reason alone. I love Beamer Ball, but also Beamer Ball it's a strength of South Carolina, and it's also their biggest weakness. Like, I never know which South Carolina I'm going to see on any given week. You saw bad South Carolina versus Ole Miss. You saw a good South Carolina versus Alabama. Going into Norman, Oklahoma, I don't know if you see good South Carolina again. I can't put faith in Beamer to have 2 consecutive good weeks of football. And even when they play their best football, they lost. LSU, Alabama, 2 losses on the year where they played good football and couldn't get it done in the end. Of course, they did beat Kentucky, but neither here nor there. So I'm going to take Oklahoma in that game. Now, speaking of Alabama, they are traveling up to good old Rocky Top, Tennessee, play in Neyland Stadium, take on the Volunteers in a top 12 matchup, number 7 Alabama, number 11 Tennessee. The third Saturday in October, a game where Tennessee fans think that they're the biggest rival of Alabama, and Alabama doesn't think the same of them. But something I think would be absolutely hilarious, this might be my hate pick of the week, but also I'm kind of vibing with it this week. Give me Rocky Top in this game. I think Tennessee's going to get the win at home. Alabama's only a 3-point favorite. I've not been impressed with Alabama. I can't say all that much. I've been too impressed with Tennessee this year, but I think Tennessee, with it being in Neyland and the checkerboards and everything else, the vibes are going to be high. So I'm rocking with the orange to get it done in Neyland in good old Knoxville, Tennessee. Now, back to the Big Ten. Number 24, Michigan will travel to Champaign, Illinois, take on the Fighting Illini, number 22 team in the country. I want to pick the underdog in this game, which is Illinois. Michigan should not be ranked. They shouldn't be. There's a team outside the top 25 who should be ranked because they beat the number 1 team in the country and deserve it. That's the Vanderbilt Commodores. So, in all due respect, Michigan, you don't deserve to be here. So get out. Let's go Fighting Illini. I just got a hat for Illinois. If I can find it without, let me try to stay within the mic. Where is it? I think it's, oh, here it is. There we go. Just got this hat today or yesterday as I'm recording this. So, yeah. Off tangent. So, yeah, I'm taking the Fighting Illini in this game. Now, up next, back to the SEC for a few picks here. LSU will be traveling to Razorback Stadium in Fayetteville, Arkansas, to take on the Arkansas Razorbacks. I've been trying to guess this game for a while. Arkansas is only a 2.5-point underdog. LSU has been iffy. And also Arkansas is coming off a bye week after beating Tennessee. Now, the last team that upset a team on October 5th came back the next week and absolutely upset another team. I'm going to show some respect to Arkansas in this game. I'm going to take the Razorbacks to get it done at home and take down the LSU Tigers. And I think I did just skip one, so I'll go back into it. But yeah, I'm taking Arkansas to beat LSU. Texas A&M traveling to Starkville, take on Mississippi State Bulldogs. I'm going to keep that one short and sweet. I'm taking Texas A&M. A lot better than I thought they were going to be. Potential playoff team for Mike Elko in his first year in College Station. Now, game of the week. Number 5, Georgia will take on number 1, Texas in Austin. Quinn Ewers is back for this game. Arch Manning has looked good during his time. They might have the best 1-2 punch at quarterbacks in the country. But I need to see more of Arch Manning. I guess Quinn Ewers was back last week, so I forget what I said. But with this game being in Texas and Georgia kind of looking a little iffy on defense at times, I'm going to take Texas in this game. I don't think there's any shocker there. I think have I picked the home team in every single game thus far? Let's see. No, I picked Miami. Never mind. I'm good. I haven't picked the home team in every game. Yeah, I'm taking Texas in this game. I just think they're the better team. I think they're the favorite to win the national championship. Texas just, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say their catchphrase because I don't want to jinx anything because I'm trying to get my pick'ems right. But I'm taking Texas in this game. Last two, Kansas State is going to travel to Morgantown, West Virginia, take on the Mountaineers. Again, I picked West Virginia. I picked Iowa State to win last week, and West Virginia finally decided to listen to me and lose. K-State beat Colorado, and I think West Virginia season is going to gradually decline yet again. I feel like Neil Brown might be back on the hot seat. Don't know yet. But yeah, I'm taking K-State in this game. I think they're one of the favorites to win the Big 12. They're up there. They're only one game behind on Texas Tech, Iowa State, and BYU. And BYU, watch out for the BYU Cougars this season. All right, so yeah, taking Kansas State in that one. Last game of the evening, 6:45. Kentucky will travel to Gainesville, take on the Florida Gators. Kentucky coming off of a close loss to the Vanderbilt Commodores, surprise team in the SEC, Coach of the Year candidate in Clark Lee. And Florida coming off an overtime loss to Tennessee in Neyland. Now, I got a lot of heat for talking about this game earlier in the preseason because I made a comment that Kentucky always has struggled to beat Florida. No matter what happens, Kentucky will always struggle to beat Florida. And now I'm gonna pull up their the recent games between the two of them. So I'm trying to pull that up as I speak. Florida currently leads this series 53-21. Kentucky, surprisingly enough, on a 3-game win streak. But something feels a little different about Florida right now. Now, I don't think Florida's all that great. I still think they're going to fire Napier at the end of the season. But despite the 3-year streak, I remember a time where I never got to see until 2018. I was the years I watched this game. 2018 was when the streak finally lost. I think it was like a 10-year streak, or not 10 years. 87 to 2017. So 30 years of a butt whooping. And then 2018 came around. Kentucky finally got it done. And now they're on their own little streak. I'm thinking Florida's going to win this game. And it's more or less because I want Florida to win this game strictly because it means Kentucky's on a downward spiral and Auburn can get a win next week. But I just think Kentucky has always struggled against Florida. This game is never a blowout. Last year was 34-14, but before then 26-16, 2013, 34-10. It kind of goes both ways. But most of these games are very, very close. So I'm going to take Florida in this game. Then they win a close one. But that is for my pick'ems of the week. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Am I wrong on all of them or negative on all of them right? The one between. And with all that being said, thanks for watching this time of the College Loop pregame show. I'm, of course, Dylan Larck, able to take on Twitter and, of course, on Instagram as well at Dylan Larck, DYLENLARCK. And you can find me right here on the College Loop podcast where you like, comment, and subscribe. Leave your thoughts on the Auburn Tigers as they take on the Missouri Tigers as well this weekend. Let me know what your predictions are. And don't forget to check out the audio versions of the show as well. All that available. Just search in the College Loop. And, of course, social media platforms, all of those available at the College Loop as well. But, of course, all that being said, thanks for watching this time of the College Loop podcast. And, as always, war